Is he such an alcoholic that he remembers nothing and is prone to continued confabulation, living in a fantasy, magical world? And this raises a red flag for me, like much of her testimony. There's a vagueness to it. There's basically redirecting the issue to non-issues. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. B, Addiction Recovery, and the discussion today is going to be regarding the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. In particular, I would like to make some comments regarding her story under direct testimony about being assaulted in the nose and having blood spatter on the wall. Before I get started, I think some disclaimers and a short discussion is in order. I have been asked multiple occasions recently to comment on this case, the various aspects of this case, in particular the substance abuse, the role it plays in it. Does Johnny Depp have a serious problem? What kind of problem is it? Did it lead into domestic abuse? And so forth. And I have to sit there and think long and hard about this because in general, I don't really follow social media and current affairs of that nature. In fact, I should openly admit that I didn't own a television from when I left the house at the age of 18 till the age of 40. And since then, I do enjoy movies, although I haven't seen one in a couple of years. I don't follow these kinds of things. Number two, the point of the channel is education regarding substance abuse. More broadly, the impact on society, which I'm moving towards, and teaching folks about formal thinking, formal approach to issues. And the kernel of that for us is substance abuse. All of that said, I have to consider, is there anything that evaluating this case can contribute to all of this? And I eventually came to the conclusion that it can. Number one, everyone's watching it. Number two, 2, 3, 4, 5 different issues in this case, both directly related to substance abuse and surrounding issues that I often discuss, are manifest and come out of this. And so I thought it would be of some value to make some evaluations during this trial. I want to add that I'm not going to be going in chronological order. I have watched bits and pieces, and thus far I've gotten up to Amber Heard's testimony. I am not diagnosing anybody. I am just seeing what everyone else sees and telling you what I think about it, how I think about it. Also, similar cases like this, some of which I have seen in my practice. Let's get started. During day 14 or 15, during her testimony, Amber Heard describes being assaulted on the nose. Whether it was a fist or a slap, we don't know. She doesn't really get into it. And then she goes on to describe blood being splattered on the wall. I have some thoughts on this. I have some professional thoughts on this description. Keep in mind, I spent many years as an academic emergency medicine physician and saw thousands of traumatic cases of varying degrees. I have quite a bit of familiarity at a clinical level with force, assault, mechanisms of injury, and what they can do to a person. I can tell you this right off the bat. To be assaulted on the nose and having blood be splattered on the wall or on the surface behind you or near you takes an incredible amount of force, okay? You have to break through the tissue. You have to get into the vasculature, okay? And then there still has to be enough force where that force and that mechanism gets the blood out and onto a near surface. You see this kind of thing with gunshot wounds or mayhem cases, which are not often, okay? We see these sorts of things even in a movie or so forth, with a psychopathic killer just going ballistic on somebody, okay? You can't just get punched or slapped across the nose and have blood splatter on the wall. it has to be a perfect situation. Number two, if such a thing did occur, okay, there would have had to have been enough force and enough trauma where this sort of damage and its healing right afterwards in the short term and long term would have some visible signs to others. There is no such thing. That description is clearly a lie and a fabrication. I can leave it there and add something else. You start to really wonder about somebody who goes directly against every story or narrative described by Johnny Depp or whoever was the opposing person in the case. Every story that he described, she gave a completely different story. You have to ask yourself in these situations, and I have some familiarity with these situations, is the other person a pathologic liar? Is he such an alcoholic that he remembers nothing and is prone to continued confabulation, living in a fantasy, magical world? Johnny Depp hasn't struck me as that kind of a person, even though there's quite a bit of substance abuse involved in his life. There's one last thing I want to add about her description of the assault. If you notice, as I've already sort of pointed out, if you are going to be assaulted so hard and so traumatically where blood splatters on the wall, you're going to have some recollection of it, and you're going to say it was a backhand, it was a fist coming straight at me, I was knocked out. It's vague, okay? And this raises a red flag for me, like much of her testimony. There's a vagueness to it. There's basically redirecting the issue to non-issues. These things are extremely particular of the language of certain personality disorders. I'm not diagnosing her with one, but her patterns of description, salted with some truth, salted with some truth, but picking different times and places, shoving them all in, being vague about particulars. It's concerning to me. If somebody hit me so hard in the face that blood was splattered on the wall, even if I was knocked out flat right afterwards, I would recall something of significance in great detail. Nothing of significance was reported. This is my first report to you on this case. I will not be going in chronological order. I hope it added something to your understanding, the way you approach things, your formal thinking as it all comes together. It will hopefully be sort of a puzzle I'm putting together that sheds lights on some of the issues that are near and dear to me. Substance abuse, trauma, adverse childhood events, social constructs of these issues, and how we downplay them and not address them in the way that we are supposed to. If you did like the content, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, consider utilizing Patreon for as little as $3 a month. I will see you soon. I got some more stuff coming on this, and peace.